What up, guys? The Bench Buddies are back with my MLB Week 5 power rankings. Before I get into it, subscribe down below. 30 through 26 teams that you would expect to be here, except the Astros. Yes, I'm putting the Astros all the way down here. They're 9 and 19 through a month of baseball. They got on the right track, beating Colorado to end the week in Mexico. Maybe they can carry that over, beat Cleveland and Seattle this week because, the games just get tougher as the Astros need to figure it out. But then you have the Marlins, White Sox, Rockies, and the Angels. All these teams expected to be down here at the beginning of the year, but I think the Marlins are the most shocking, being this bad this early. Their over-under win total was 79 and a half, and they're looking like they're nowhere close to that this year, and I don't think it's going to get any better. 25 through 21, you have the Nationals staying put after a 3-3 week, got swept, go sweep Miami. Oakland, they're an interesting team. I think that's going to play some good baseball against some good teams, as you can see there, split with New York and then actually beat Baltimore in Baltimore. Giants moving up to 23 after a 4-2 week, beating the Mets in Pittsburgh. They go on the road for a 7-game road trip. And then the Padres and Twins. I think these teams are starting to figure it out a little bit. The Padres, it looked like they were going to figure it out for a little bit and then got swept against Philly at home. Twins, kind of reverse of the Padres, got swept beginning of the week against the White Sox and then figured it out against the Angels on the road. Now they go back to Chicago to face the White Sox and then get Boston at home to close the week. But the Twins, don't count them out just yet. I know the early struggles, it's easy to overlook teams already. Same with the Padres, but I think they'll be okay and still fighting for at least a wild card spot. 20 through 16. Now here's some teams that could make a push for top 10 early next week. And I'm saying a team like that could be the Rays. The Brewers aren't playing the best baseball, and they need to prove it after getting swept by Chicago in Chicago. They get the Mets as well, which will be a big series for both of those two teams. The Diamondbacks as well, really haven't played their best baseball, but they get a huge week, 6 games at home against divisional opponents, the Dodgers and the Padres. Must-win games, got to at least go 4-2 combined in those. And then the Cardinals and Pirates in the NL Central, 19 and 20. Both of these teams, I think, can be fighting for a division along with the Cubs and the Brewers. I think those two teams, Cubs and Brewers, and then the Cardinals and Pirates. Then the Reds are also up there as well. I think the NL Central is going to be a loaded division and come down to the month of September when it's all said and done. But give the Cardinals some credit. They're starting to figure it out a little bit. Two big series wins look as they look to continue against Detroit and the White Sox. And then, I was talking about the Mets briefly. They just need to, what's the word? They just need to stay in their lane and just not worry about any of the critics and, what this team's going through right now. I think they're doing good at 14 and 13. They can play 500 ball and possibly pick it up in September. They could sneak into the playoffs. 15 through 11, that NL Central that I was mentioning, the Reds, there's another team that they're moving up one. My Tigers at 14, 3 straight series wins as they get St. Louis and then New York on the road. Red Sox moving up after a good week. I think, losing 2 to Cleveland, but getting that series win against Chicago helps them out and they're moving up. The Mariners move up. Blue Jays fall out of top 10 because the Blue Jays had a very bad week going 2 and 5, but they can rebound this week with Kansas City and Washington. But the Mariners, I think, are the team you got to look at here. Starting to figure it out, playing some good baseball, playing some good teams. And if they can do the same thing, get 2 more series wins against Atlanta and Houston, for sure they're going to be a top 10 team at this time next week. Then my Tigers as well. If they can get 2 more series wins, who knows? Maybe this Tigers team will crack into the top 10 as well. 10 through 6, and I think the biggest surprise here on this list is probably the Royals. And I mean, maybe you could say the Cubs a little bit, but I think the Royals, especially, going 3-1 against Toronto, moving up into the top 10. Now they go to Toronto and face Texas. It's a bit tougher week as they, did lose to Detroit in Detroit. But the Royals, their pitching is going to be the biggest question mark moving forward because their lineup looks great. But if pitching can withhold, this whole year, then I think the Royals have a shot at possibly winning the AL Central. And same with the Cubs. Pitching is going to be the big question for them in the NL Central. They have 7 games this week, 4 against the Mets, 3 against the Brewers. Big series against the Brewers. And, I'll talk to you about the Brewers. They struggled against the Yankees, had a game not go their way because of a missed call, but you still let up 7 runs after that missed call. That's not all on the call. And they get Tampa and the Cubs, and two teams that, floating around 500. Going to be a good week for them. And the Phillies and the Rangers. Rangers move down some as they're starting to float back to 500. The Phillies are on the upward move because they're looking pretty good. 5-2 on the road last week. They go to the Angels. Maybe they can sweep them. Go 8-2 on a 10-game road trip. Very successful. And then they get San Francisco at home, which will be a good series this weekend. 5-1. I don't think you expected the Guardians to be at 3 this early in the season or even at all. But, you expect your normal Orioles, Dodgers, Yankees, and Braves. They're all here. And I think that's easy to expect. The Guardians, have playing some great baseball. 19-9, best record in the AL as of Monday morning when I'm making this video. And they're just figuring it out. And, now they get 3 in Houston, which is always tough, but 3 against the Angels at home should win that series. And I expect the Guardians to just keep on going, but pitching is going to catch up with them at some point. They just need to keep figuring it out because they can't rely on BB to keep, throwing these gems. Without Bieber, they are missing a key piece. So maybe at the deadline, if they're still in contention, they'll be looking for a piece. But then you have the Braves and Yankees, two teams looking really good. Yankees and the Braves in LA and the Orioles. All 4 of these teams have tough schedules this week. Some good ball clubs they're playing, especially the Braves going on the road, face six games on the road, 3 against Seattle, 3 against Dodgers. Yankees, 7 games in a row, 4 on the road in Baltimore, which will be a great series. And then the Dodgers, as I mentioned, Braves and the Diamondbacks. It's a big week for the Dodgers. Really know where we are on the Dodgers hype train, and I guess the Braves hype train too, this early into the season. That's going to be it for my power rankings this week. Come back next week to see where your favorite team ranks. But until the next time, the Bench Buddies are out.